Hello there, guys, and welcome back to the menu screen this time. Today we're taking a look at the settings. Hopefully this will be a really quick guide, and we're just going to look at the various settings around, and we're also going to, at the end of the video, look at how you can change your key bindings. That's something people have asked me about, and frankly in this game it's actually a bit more difficult. It's a bit more of an involved process, so I figured I'd make a guide for it in case any of you wanted to optimize your keyboard layout and make any changes here. So anyway, this is the main menu, and the first settings tab that you can look at is up here. And this is all lobby settings. So this is all, these all kind of just make sense right out the bat, but it shows different things. You can toggle like show rank icons that shows the little chevrons, open skill values that shows the little number next to people, animations, non-friend animations. Just, yeah, you can just kind of surf through this at your leisure, and you'll basically be able to eventually, you'll be able to fine tune all this to your liking. But this isn't really the settings that usually people are talking about. Now, the settings that usually people are talking about are in game. So I just wanted to show you that these are here in case you're curious how maybe I get those numbers to pop up in the bottom right hand screen on the replays. Or if you you were looking for something and you didn't find it in the other settings menu, it's probably in here. Anyway, the other thing that's important that you can see here is this keys button. And this shows you the default key binding layouts for the various key modes that there are. So in my opinion, this is kind of poorly laid out, but I'll do my best to explain this. So these three buttons right here, default keys, control keys, and alt keys, these are all grouped together. So what this really should say is default keys, default control keys, and default alt keys. But anyway, so you can see right now we're looking at default keys, and this is the key binding that I use, except the only thing that I've changed is I swapped my T and my Y. So my T sets the target, and my Y tracks whatever unit I'm selecting. But I'll show you how I did that, and that'll be a good example of how you can alter these key bindings in the future. But when you look at this shows you basically if you were just to press this key in the game, this is what it would do. It would whatever key you pressed, it would have this effect. And it's actually a really useful map here. If you go to control keys, this is as if you were holding left control. This is what would happen. So you can see you can self-destruct or select all units or whatever it might be. And this is important because there's a lot of interesting commands in here. Probably specifically the self-destruct command is probably the most prominent here. But then also there's the alt keys, and then this shows the the other options for if you were holding alt. Alt to increase build spacing, decrease build spacing. That's pretty important. Also controlling your auto groups is done with alt. But yeah, so this is how you read this menu basically is with you select whether you're using default or grid, and then you can see what the effect the control will have or effect alt would have, and then neither, right? So, and then same for grid keys, and feel free to just mess around with either of these and see which one you like more. But obviously it's the same controls, right? It's just mapped out differently. So that's up to you to decide. Anyway, let's jump into a match here, and I'll show you the in-game settings, which is much more extensive. We're going to spend a lot of time there, and we'll take a look in depth. All right, here we are. Just got a quick game of Supreme Straights for you to watch here. So the settings inside of the game are much more extensive, and it's up here in this top right-hand corner. You can see the same keys menu, although described a little bit less artistically here. But up here in the settings, you can see the massive array of different settings that you have at your disposal. You can see these are all the graphic settings. For the most part, I'm just going to walk through these and just show them, just so that you guys can see. Now, if yours doesn't look like this, you might have this basic versus advanced toggle turned on. So you can switch this to just some of basically the less important, the less minute controls here. Or you can hit advanced and it pulls up literally every effect in the game. It's one of the beauties of the game is that, well, you have the option to control virtually everything about it, but also it can be a little daunting. Anyway, these are my graphics settings in case you're curious what I use. I don't think most of this is beyond standard, but it's been a while since I've changed it, so you'll just have to cross compare this with whatever you're using. As far as interface goes, there's a lot of different options to customize the values that appear, all sorts of different stuff. You can see you can change things like this, the panel down on the right hand side. You can change all the unit totals, music players, mascots, all this different stuff you can change here. Again, if yours doesn't look like this, you probably have it on basic, but you can turn it to advanced if you want to see the Hacker Man version. You can hide spectator chat. That's kind of nice, but I can't do that because sometimes the spectators bring up good points. I need to see those. You can see all sorts of stuff over here, and then don't forget that there's these little arrows over here to actually go to different pages. So there's a whole another page back here where you can see all the different stuff. You can toggle the info, so this is like the stuff that pops up on your screen, and you can see there's so many options to toggle through. Anyway, that's my interface controls for game controls. This is really important, the cloak units one. This determines which units are cloaked and which units are not cloaked straight out of the laboratory or the constructor, whenever they're built here. So this is actually a fairly important one here, but there's also behavior, and you can see you can hover over things and it shows you exactly what we're talking about here. And you can toggle the AI of all these different units to work in different ways. Yeah, so there's my controls. No, I use a custom key binding, and we're gonna have a whole section after we're done looking at the settings here where we talk about adjusting key bindings. So this is important when you're entering your control for the first time. If you're on basic, this is what it'll look like. If you go to the advanced, this is what it'll look like. And you can see the keyboard layout I use is QWERTY, and then the key bindings I use are custom. So by static, it'll be default, or it might be grid optimized. But anyway, it'll usually be one of these. If you want to change your key bindings, it's important that you select custom here, because this is going to create a file that we're going to have to actually edit if we want to adjust our key bindings. So if you're thinking about changing your key bindings, you do need to take this step. You need to hit custom, and then that'll create a file that we're going to edit here in a minute. But anyway, we'll get through these settings first. You can see all this stuff. I really not a big fan of shake or anything like that. So anyway, tracking cam smoothing. I probably should turn that up as high as I can, huh? Anyway, audio. Someone was asking about my audio settings. I don't know if I've changed any of these. The only thing is my audio is routed through a external filter from or an external software by Razer that basically turns everything into surround sound. So that's why my sound might not sound the same as your sound. Well, that's a lot of sound in one sentence, huh? But if you are looking to edit any of your sound settings to change them to be like what mine are, these are my sound settings for anyone that's curious. And then it also shows all the music. You can actually import your own music, by the way, in case you wanted to. You can always add music to this playlist and listen to your own stuff when you're playing Beyond No Reason. Notifications. These are the little voice pop-ups whenever say a T3 unit is detected or a T3 unit is produced, or, well, I mean, you can see the whole list, the extensive list right here. I mean, you can also change the voice, which actually I didn't know. Apparently you can switch between two different voices, telling you to place your commander and whatnot. But yeah, you can see there's like a super extensive list of commands here that you can cycle through. And then there's accessibility, and this is mostly colors, recoloring things. You can tune all of the different colors to be different shades in your liking. So that's definitely one nice benefit here. Okay, so that's all my settings. Now let's talk about hotkeys. So like I said, you're gonna have to switch this to custom, and we'll hop out of this game here, and we will just take a look at the settings that you need to change, the actual files, and we'll jump over to that here in just a second. Alright, so now let's take a look at how to actually adjust some of your Beyond All Reason hotkeys. So if you haven't already, you're going to have to, maybe you skip to this point in the video. What you're going to have to do is go into the game, go into that settings, go into the keys area, and switch your layout to custom. Once you've switched it to custom, you're going to close your Beyond All Reason, you're going to relaunch it, you're going to go into the launcher, which you can see here. You're going to get this open install directory. And what that's going to take you to is this file right, or this folder right here, your Beyond All Reasons data. Now you might notice this is the same where you would go to access your replays, which are in this demo folder. But that's not what we're talking about today. Today what you're going to do is scroll down to bar hotkeys custom, and you're going to open this with whatever file editor that you like, whatever software you use to edit code. And you're going to open this up. You can always do it in Notepad too if you don't have any other options, but it's going to pull up something like this. And so what you can see here is kind of sort of makes sense at a glance, but we're going to take a better look at this. But these are all your hotkeys. So this is every hotkey available in the game. And so you can kind of read this and it sort of makes sense. Like if you do, I don't know, what's a good hotkey? You can see SC_F. So that's the F key on your keyboard. Is the fight command. So that would actually issue a fight command. You can see G for the guard. You can see K for the cloak. Let's see what else we have. We have move, we have M, we have P for patrol. You can see Q for drawing labels. But yeah, so if you wanted to adjust any of your key bindings, you would go in here and you just literally would actually select the key binding that you wanted to change. Say for instance, we wanted to make drawing on the map. Instead of being Q, we would just make this, I don't know, U, as an underdog. And then we save this file, and it would, then when we go into the game, if you hit U and you start dragging your mouse around, it's going to be the same as if you were dragging, if you were dragging around with your Q button pressed. So in some sense, it's not incredibly difficult to change your key bindings, but it is a little bit more involved than most games. So you do need to be aware of this. You can see the build facing. You're probably aware of how to change your build facing with your bracket keys here. But this is where you can actually see where that is defined in the code here. So you would just adjust any of these ones that come after the SC here, and you're going to change that to whatever key you want. Now I didn't rehearse this, but I might be able to find the ones that I've changed. The only edit that I've made to my keybind was making the target key a different key, making the target and the tracking unit keys different. So if we take a look through here, I don't see it in here. Must be somewhere up in this direction. Maybe we could do it like this. Target. Here we go. So you can see target normally would be Y, but I've set it to T just by changing this value right here. So if you're looking at your menu and you hit Control F and you type in target, it should take you to the same spot. And yours will probably be Y. And I changed mine to T because T sounds better for target than Y. I bet I could probably do track mode. Yep, there you go. And so you can see my track mode is set to Y as well. And so yeah, you sort of have to manually track which keys you're actually swapping around here and there and sort of keep track of it. But as long as you take it slow and you approach it calmly and with a plan, I'm sure you're gonna have a wonderful time, and you can really edit a whole bunch of the different keys that you have available. But yeah, that's gonna be all for the key binding mode, and I think that's all for this tutorial too. As always, feel free to leave any questions down below in the comment section. I'll do my best to answer them. Hopefully I didn't miss anything too critical here, and I hope to see you in the next video.